Greetings and gratitude to all light forms and life workers who have found this. Day 1 of 31 days of magical cards. I am your host, the Third-Eyed Lion. On today's video, I will be discussing the first 5 system of magic cards. These are use of cards for divination, contemplation, prediction, information, and action. You can use these symbols for many different ways. I'm going to begin with the 5 systems that I generally gravitate to first, and then I'll work the way through the other 5 in this video. The last one will have 6. So each day of the month of October, you will receive a very special video about the use of cards, and know that it will change each day. I have a few topics already listed out, friends. So, we're going to start out with this, the Thoth Tarot by Aleister Crowley. This deck is based off of ancient Hebrew magical systems, the ancient Egypt and Greek magical system, as well as the individual knowledge that this individual, known as Therion, which is the magical name of Mr. Crowley, picked up. There is a lot of occultism, secret society, secret ancient and more modern magics being depicted throughout these cards. It's a lot of detail. I took it upon myself to trim the cards, which means I removed what the cards were supposed to mean, as well as the borders, so I could get a raw image. So the reason why I recommend this deck is, one, it is one of the schools of thought that the god of thought, Thoth, one of the Egyptian pantheon, also the god of the moon, chose, this is the moon card, chose to teach the people of Egypt a system of symbols to put on papyrus cards to be randomized to gain information of the divine. Over time, this is morphed into the tarot, but Crowley believes that it dates back to ancient Egypt. This is why there's quite a few ancient Egyptian symbols in the cards. I'm not going to go into the symbolism in this video. I am very much drawn to ancient Egypt, as well as the god Thoth. So this deck was given to me, which is a great meaning. It was for a deck exchange. Someone gave it to me and I gave them the Rider-Waite deck, which this Thoth deck was a deliberate response to. Crowley believed that the original Rider-Waite deck was too accessible to the masses. Not a lot of the ancient knowledge was transferred, and he believes it's just too pleasant. He wanted to make something more aligned to the ancient mysteries that oftentimes are very unpleasant, but can be also interpreted as light. There's quite a few symbolism that most of the other tarot decks that I use do not have. And when I do give readings, and when I do study of the cards for my personal development, I find that picking one of the symbols and using that as a key to information is the best for me. So these 5 systems that I'm going to show you, beginning with the Thoth Tarot, I believe are very good for meditation, very good for contemplation, and very good to look inside to gain more information that might be obscured through your ego, through your perceptions of self. Oftentimes, we don't want to see the high magics that we have inside. We want to believe that magic comes from outside of us, where the ancient teachings is you are magic and you will reflect magic back to you by being in love with who you are. So, that is the Thoth Tarot. The second one that I will feature here is very good for meditation, is the Secret Language of Light, Oracle by Denise Jarvie. There's, again, a lot of symbolism. This is the divine masculine. These I really like using for meditation, for contemplation. If I'm doing a story, I like to pull maybe one of these to get character motivation, to see what's happening in the plot. I work with light language. Here's the divine feminine. So as you can see the difference and similarities, there's usually pairs in this deck, and the cards are really detailed, and there isn't a lot of information with the guidebooks, but the creator, Denise Jarvie, has meditations on all of them on her YouTube channel, which really help to understand the frequencies of the cards from the creator's intent. But like all decks and all form of card magic, what the creator's intent and what the user's function are generally very different. Because art is interpretive, each person who views the art will see a different message, see a different sign that other people would not see. And here's a very important thing is what I do. I do a lot of channeling. In my readings on this channel, on this YouTube page, I do channeling. This means I surrender myself and I allow a higher entity to come into my body to communicate my light in a way that I am unable to. And oftentimes you will see this as the third-eyed lion or pinhead here on this YouTube channel. Also, you can do channeling with the cards. Find a card, like this one, Manifestation, that you want to bring into your life, that you feel connected to or you feel lacking to, and just contemplate it. Hold it in your hand and think about the colors, think about the shapes, think about the emotion that is triggered by the card, and bring that in and allow that into your life. So that is the second system. So now I will go to the big three. So, since 1993, there's been a pseudo-phenomenon in the gaming world across this planet known as a trading card game. A trading card game is a game system in which there is one unified set of rules, but there are many different cards or game pieces that modify or change the rules based on static or active effects on each individual card. Some of the games have resources, some of them don't. The thing is, most of them have esoteric, ancient symbolism in them, but they are not intended for divination. These are meant for game playing. I find, just like back in the 14th century with the Visconti, which will be featured in tomorrow's video, that originally these cards were meant for game playing. These were not meant for divination. The intention was to use them for games. But certain individuals knew that these symbols are really powerful psychic symbols, so they would begin to use them for divination, contemplation, and objectification. And over time, this is what they are used for. But there are still individuals who play the games with the cards. This is why the trading card games are very popular as games, just like people still play with the playing cards, which is a remnant of the original tarot. These 52 cards exist in the 78 cards, so there is that overlap. So with these systems, first we have Magic the Gathering, released by a company known as Wizards of the Coast. So if a company that is called Wizards has a product called Magic that has a pentagram on the back of it, one would think that could be used for psychic and divination purposes. Yes, but many people don't, because there's many cards that are psychic. There's many cards of divination in the game of Magic. So, because society thinks of it as a game, that is generally what it's used for. I recommend for these three systems that are generally sold in almost every hobby shop throughout the world, because they are the three most popular trading card games, that you and what you are experiencing, oftentimes there is one of these cards that represents these exact frequencies, because there's thousands of individual cards in each of these games. So this is the Chimera, a three-headed beast, the head of an elk, the head of a lion, and the head of a wolf. This is a powerful creature in the game, and it has to attack always, because everything that is capable of blocking it has to. So this is, in the gameplay, a kind of Trojan horse effect that allows you to get through to damage because everyone has to block this. But when this dies, you gain information. So, from a spiritual vantage point, the wisdom of the past is written on the bones of the ancients. There's usually text that is unrelated to the gameplay, is more of a flavor or a world-building text. All three of these games have it. So, when you do readings with these systems, trust your own intuition of what it means, read what's on it, and use every single symbol. Oftentimes, there's small symbols in the corner, there's words, there's symbols in the top, there's numbers. If you work with numerology, if you work with symbology, you can really find a lot of information in your own way. Know that there's not one system. Like tarot, generally it means one thing. It always means this one thing, mostly. But in this, there is no system because, one, people generally don't use them for readings. And take an image and go into it and feel and find an alignment to the elements, find an alignment to whatever system you work with, whether that be Egyptology, the Kabbalah, or any other form of knowledge that you keep coming to. Understand that you are the one who chooses the deck. My recommendation is to find about minimum of 20 cards that have a spiritual significance to you that you would like to use for these purposes. They work really good for meditation, as you can be transported to these locations, to be with these individuals, to experience these magical spells, to be involved in these latent abilities that these cards create. So that is the Magic the Gathering system. Next, we move to the one that was released after, which is the Pokemon trading card game. So, these cards, they have a lot more numbers on them, oftentimes a lot more symbols. Some of the cards have the height and weight of the Pokemon, which can also be used for reading. Some of them are trainers. These are effect cards, and even them can be used for spiritual purposes, as for readings. Almost all of the cards have a wisdom or flavor text at the bottom of the card. I will read you one here. This is for Zubat. This is a psychic bat that has no eyeballs. This creature exists through sonar. It sleeps in caves during the day. It has no eyes, so it checks its surroundings while flying, and it emits ultrasonic waves. So, each card will give you these things. So if I'm giving a reading and that card shows up, it will tell me to tell the person, you may not be seeing what is happening, but use your ultrasonic, use your inner voice to speak and see what is happening around you. Use your sound to get a viewpoint of what's happening. You may not see the full picture, but you will be able to speak the full picture. It's just one of many. Each of them has a different elemental type that can be used for readings as well. Some of them are the energy. This is the resource for attacks. These can also be used for readings. So don't believe that it has to be a certain way. Don't believe that, oh, these were meant for children, these were meant for games, I can never use them for psychic purposes. This is not true. This is what people want you to think. But understand that just like the tarot and the playing cards are still being used for readings to this day, 100 years from now, when people don't play these games as much, these thousands of unique cards will be used for divination. So we will finish this with the last of the big three. We have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game released by Konami. So, Yu-Gi-Oh! Means the king of games. In the original source material, there was a Egyptian pharaoh who was wrongfully killed. His spirit was put inside of a magical ancient millennium puzzle box. Thousands of years later, a archaeologist retires from archaeology and begins to open a game shop. He gives the thing he found to his grandson. The grandson, who is after a long time of study, puts this powerful puzzle together. And when they do, it brings in the spirit of this vengeful pharaoh, who begins to gruesomely dispose of evil people after playing games with them. Over time, this became a trading card game after about a year of publication. And then it fully became the trading card game for the last close to 20 years now. But it didn't originate as just the cards. It was all types of games, any type of game. Because this pharaoh gave the ability to control probability. So, in the story, if you ever read or watch the Yu-Gi-Oh!, you might be wondering, why does the main character always win? Well, they have a superpower of control over probability. They can control probability mentally. So can you. And this is a very beautiful part of the symbolism of this game. So there are traps, and there's spells, there's rituals, there's monsters, and you use these different types of information of the card types for readings. So some of them are very easy. This is an angel spirit coming to a fatigued man, bringing forth light. And the card says the gift of the Matcha, which is the gift of the spirit, of the angelic spirit. This says spell. There's a number code at the bottom, which I think is used for the video games. So all of these numbers can be used. All of this fatigued man who's ripped and it's challenged, and this angel comes in. This is a really powerful use for readings. And then you can actually read what the card says and apply that to. You don't have to. So with these three systems, if you play the game, you can use that gameplay knowledge in the readings. But if you have never once played the game, you can still use them as readings. Fissure. Understand that you are in control of the situation. You can dispose of the weaker aspects in your life to bring the stronger ones in. Know that it's important to release things. Food can be magic. Understand that oftentimes most spells and curses are transmitted through food. Be careful what you eat, and understand that dark magic can be transferred through something as simple as a tomato. Know that nature, powerful mountains, and other places bring power to you and the environment. Go to these locations to gain their strength. Once a ritual is performed, a powerful entity can come through that otherwise would not be able to. Make ritual of everything. Dance and sing and be that you wish to create. These are just a few examples. Don't believe that it has to be one way. It is your way. And if you choose the more popular cards or the less popular cards, that's always your choice. Know that you always can be reborn. You can always come back. And your crystalline energy is very important for who you are becoming. So I hope that answers. This is the very first day of the 31 days of card magic. I hope this answers to you. Any questions, please leave them in the comments. I will try to answer them with the future videos in this series. A new one will be uploaded each day. Thank you all for your time. You are loved wherever you may be, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.